Hey everyone, welcome to Teenage Brains. It's been a while since I've done anything. Just I had to take care of some stuff that, I don't like doing. But I wanted to do something, so I thought I'd do this short little PSA movie for an episode. Um, Today's thing is called Boys Beware. This is a 1961 educational film directed by Sid Davis. The movie is actually quite weird, as in it's teaching kids about uh, pedophiles in the '60s, but they're mistaking the pedophile part for homosexual part. So yeah, this thing has got a lot of facts wrong, but it is trying to teach you something important. So let's get in. Let's get into this. We opened with a cop named Lieutenant Williams on his way to the school to tell the kids the dangers of hitchhiking and being with strangers and stuff like that. We meet a boy named Jimmy. Of course, his name is Jimmy. As Williams then explains the dangers of hitchhiking.
I'm on my way to Monroe Junior High School to talk to a group of young people. That looks innocent enough, doesn't it? Lots of young people hitchhike. Seems like a good way to get from one place to another. But sometimes there are dangers involved that never meet the eye. Let's take the case of Jimmy Barnes. Jimmy played baseball all afternoon and he didn't feel like walking home, so he just...
Private! Jimmy gets a ride from the most suspicious-looking person ever.
Like a real nice guy.
Then they arrive at Jimmy's house. The man then says he'd see him again because he's always driving that park. Suspicious much?
The stranger was a good listener, too, and it only seemed minutes before they pulled up in front of Jimmy's house. When Jimmy got out, the stranger gave him a friendly pat. Then he told him he'd see him again, as he always drove by the park on his way home.
Help! Help! Rapist! Help!
Sure enough, the following day, when Jimmy finished playing ball, well, the man was there waiting.
We cut to the next day where he shows up again and Jimmy gets in his car. They then stop at a restaurant for Cokes, and the guy tells a few dirty jokes. This kid is suspecting nothing from a 40-year-old that's talking to him about sex. This kid is stupid.
They stopped at a drive-in and the stranger treated him to a Coke. During their conversation, he told several off-color jokes, but Jimmy had heard others before and, well, it made him feel big to so easily win the confidence of an older person.
The two then go fishing together. This is grooming. This is what pedophiles do, you idiot. How are you not suspecting anything? They eat lunch and Ralph pulls pictures out of his pocket that are pornographic, apparently.
By now they were using
We then get the best lines of the movie.
Ralph said it was more friendly. Jimmy hadn't enjoyed himself so much in a long time. Then during lunch, Ralph showed him some pornographic pictures. Jimmy knew he shouldn't be interested, but, well, he was curious. What Jimmy didn't know was that Ralph was sick.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
But no less dangerous and contagious. A sickness of the mind. You see, Ralph was a homosexual. A person who demands an intimate relationship with members of their own sex. But by now, Jimmy felt a fondness for Ralph, and they continued to go places together. Ralph was generous and took Jimmy many interesting places and did many nice things for him. He bought presents and even gave him money, but payments were expected in return. You see, Jimmy hadn't recognized Ralph's approach soon enough. When
See, I
Ralph
told
first
you,
asked Jimmy
rapist.
to go fishing alone, he should have discussed it with his parents or teacher. Finally, Jimmy told his parents, and they
The two are
reported
now
it to the
hanging out
juvenile
all the
authorities.
time. They then go
Ralph
back
was
to the
arrested,
pedophile's
and Jimmy
house,
was
and
released
yeah,
on
you know what
probation in the
happens.
custody of
His
his
parents eventually find out, and he is arrested, and Jimmy
But
is
all
then put on probation.
homosexuals are not passive. Some resort to violence, as in the case of Mike Merrick.
We then have a news story about pedophiles. We learn that some of them do
In the
resort
heat
to
of
violence.
competition,
This is the
no one
story
noticed
of
the man
Mike
who
Merritt,
sat and
a
watched.
victim of one of these
And when the
violent
game broke
pedophiles.
up and the others left,
He was playing
Mike
basketball
decided
with
to
his
stay
friends, and he
practice
stayed
a little
behind
longer.
to play some more. And a man in a suit joins him. Mike needs to leave, but the man says he'll drive him if he stays a little longer. They then
Stranger
leave,
joined
and
him.
Mike
He
is
was
later
friendly,
killed by the
and
man.
well, it was better than playing alone. But after a few shots, Mike realized he had already overstayed his time and suggested he better leave. The stranger told him if he'd like to stay longer, he'd be glad to drive him home when they finished. Sounded great to Mike. Chance to play longer and get a ride home, too. When they finished, the stranger told him he'd make a fine player someday if he got lots of practice. The companionship, the praise, the friendly attitude dispelled any misgivings Mike might have had about going with a stranger. He probably never realized until too late that he was riding in the shadow of death. But sometime that evening, Mike Merrick traded his life for a newspaper headline.
We have the
Jerry
third
got
and
the
final
papers ready for
story of
Jerry's
the
afternoon
pedophile
delivery.
thing.
They
When we
only
cut to
casually
two
noticed
boys
the
who are
two
doing a
boys that
paper
raced
route.
by in the
Two
afternoon
people
traffic.
race by on their
And they
bikes,
didn't pay
and a
much
car
attention
pull
to
up,
the car that
and
drew
shortly,
up shortly
shortly
afterwards,
after, the
until
man
the
says,
man
"Get
pulled
in,
them
those are
over.
stolen bikes." One of the boys gets in without hesitation, and
As
they
two
speed
boys
off.
went by on bicycles,
His friend
the
is
boys nodded
curious
their
and
heads.
writes down the
Could they
license plate
recognize them
number,
if they saw them
which
again?
no kid
Well,
now
then he
would
guessed
think
he
to
could.
do.
Then hop in, the
He
man
then
said,
delivers
"Those are
the paper
stolen
to the
bikes."
boy's house
Without giving it
and
another
asks
thought,
his
Denny
mom
got
if
in
he's
and the
home.
car sped away.
She
Jerry
says he
watched.
wasn't there,
He'd been
so
told many
he
times,
lets her
if a
hear the
friend got in
story,
a car with
and
a
he
stranger
gives
to
her the
write
license
down the
plate
license
number.
number.
She calls the
Didn't
police,
seem
and
to
then they
apply,
find the
but,
car.
well, fortunately,
with him
he
still
marked
alive.
it down. When he delivered a paper to Denny's house, he asked his mother if they'd caught the boys that had stolen the bicycles. Denny hadn't returned, so he told her the story and gave her the paper with the license number. Being a careful parent, she decided to call the police. Jerry supplied the necessary information, and the stranger's car was quickly spotted. It was a good example of how important it is to always get the license number and description of any stranger who takes a young person off alone, no matter what they tell you.
We now learn that pedophiles like to hang around public restrooms where lots of young boys are. We cut to Bobby as they're about to go home. His friends take the normal way home, and he takes the long way home under the pier. As he is walking underneath him, a man follows him. P.S. If you look closely, that is the director in a cameo. Bobby then recognizes the man behind him as the one that he saw earlier in the bathroom, and he gets out quickly. We then cut to the police lieutenant who arrives at the school.
When Bobby recognized the stranger as the man in the restroom, the shortcut under the pier didn't seem like a good idea at all. After all, it's more fun to stay with your friends anyway. Bobby had made a wise decision. It may have saved his life. The decision is always yours, and your whole future may depend on making the right one. So no matter where you meet a stranger, be careful if they are too friendly, if they try to win your confidence too quickly, and if they become overly personal. One never knows when the homosexual is about. He may appear normal, and it may be too late when you discover he is mentally ill. So keep with your group, and don't go off alone with strangers unless you have the permission of your parent or teacher.
Hey everyone, did you like the review? I thought this was actually a pretty interesting film. Or short, they're trying to teach you something important, but they're getting a little bit of the facts wrong. We know homosexuals are not mentally ill. Pedophiles are. That's what they messed up. They should be talking about pedophiles, not homosexuals. So yeah. Yeah. This week, I know I haven't been back. I haven't been here for a while, and now that it's summertime and I have more time, I'm gonna try and do a regular schedule, like one a week or so. So yeah, it's so good to be back. Anyway, this week's crappy animal movie is Our Wild Hearts, and it's about like selling a horse or something. I don't know. I don't care about it. It's stupid. But anyway, guys, please like, subscribe, and happy Pride Month. This is a gay movie. That's why I said happy Pride Month.